Raja Uvacha, King Parikshit said, Priyavrata, King Priyavrata, Bhagavata, the great devotee, Atma Arama, who takes pleasure in self-realization, Patam, why? Mune, a great sage, Grihe, at home, Aramata, enjoyed, Yat Mula, having which as root cause. Paramabandha, the bondage of fruitive activities. Parabhava, the defeat of one's human mission. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami I SB Prabhupada. King Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami, O great sage, why did King Priyavrata, who was a great self-realized devotee of the Lord, remain in household life, which is the root cause of the bondage of karma, fruitive activities, which defeats the mission of human life? Please repeat. King Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami, O great sage, why did King Priyavrata, who was a great self-realized devotee of the Lord, remain in household life, which is the root cause of the bondage of karma, fruitive activities, which defeats the mission of human life? Purport. In the fourth canto, Shukadeva Goswami explains that Narada Muni perfectly instructed King Priyavrata about the mission of human life. The mission of human life is to realize oneself and then gradually to go back home, back to Godhead. Since Narada Muni instructed the king fully on this subject, why did he again enter household life, which is the root cause of material bondage? Maharaj Parikshit was greatly astonished that King Priyavrata remained in household life, especially since he was not only a self-realized soul, but also a first-class devotee of the Lord. The devotee actually has no attraction for household life. But surprisingly, King Priyavrata enjoyed household life very much. One may argue, what is wrong to enjoy household life? The reply is that in household life, one becomes bound by the results of fruitive activity. The essence of household life is sense enjoyment. And as long as one engrosses his mind working hard for sense enjoyment, one becomes bound by the reactions of fruitive activities. This ignorance of self-realization is the greatest defeat in human life. The human form of life is especially meant for getting out of the bondage of fruitive activity. But as long as one is forgetful of his life's mission and acts like an ordinary animal, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, he must continue his conditioned life of material existence. Such a life is called Svarup Vishmriti, forgetfulness of one's real constitutional position. Therefore, in Vedic civilization, one who is trained in the very beginning in life is a brahmachari. A brahmachari must execute austerities and refrain from sex indulgence. Therefore, if one is completely trained in the principles of brahmacharya, he generally does not enter household life. He is then called a Naishtika brahmachari, which indicates total celibacy. King Parikshit was thus astonished that the great king Priyavrata, although trained in the principles of Naishtika brahmacharya, entered household life. The words Bhagavata Atmarama are very significant in this verse. The one is self-satisfied, as is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Bhagavat Atmarama. There are different types of self-satisfaction. Armies are satisfied in their fruitive activities. Jnanis are satisfied to merge into the effulgence of Brahman, and devotees are satisfied to engage in the Lord's service. The Lord is self-satisfied because he is fully opulent. The one who is satisfied by serving him is called Bhagavata Atmarama. Manushanam Sahasreshu. Out of many thousands of persons, one may endeavor for liberation. And of many thousands of persons attempting to become liberated, one may achieve liberation from the anxieties of material existence, become self-satisfied. Even that satisfaction, however, is not the ultimate satisfaction. The Jnanis and the Karmis have desires, as do the yogis. The devotees have no desires. Satisfaction in the service of the Lord is called akama, freedom from desire. And this is the ultimate satisfaction. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit inquired, how could one who is fully satisfied in the highest platform be satisfied with household, family life? The word parava in this verse is also very significant. When one is satisfied in family life, he is doomed because he must already have forgotten his relation with the Lord. Prahlad Maharaj describes how the activities of the family life implicate one more and more. Atma patam griham andakupam. Household life is like a dark well. When falls into this well, his spiritual death is assured. How Priyavrata remained in a liberated Paramahansa, even within family life, is described in the next verse. Namo Vishnu Vraya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Ramane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bhattarane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Satarane. Prahlad Maharaj, when speaking to his father, when his father asked him, what's the best thing that you've learned in school? Prahlad Maharaj replied, my dear father, as far as I'm concerned, the best thing I've learned in school is that you're a number one fool. He didn't exactly call him just an ordinary demon. He said that you're the biggest demon. That sadhamanye surya varya dehina. That you're the biggest demon. And therefore, sadasam vigna dhyama sakraha. Therefore, your intelligence is always misplaced. Always focused on the temporary. Therefore, you're always in anxiety because the temporary is temporary. And therefore, although we're looking for eternal happiness in the material temporary world, it's not possible to find it here. Therefore, the search goes on in complete anxiety forever. Tatsadu manye surya varya yainam sadas vigna idayam asatgrahat. Hedvatma patam griham andakupam. So this word griha means house. So the first house we're inhabiting is called the material body. And the material body, the idea is that to make it strong, so we can protect the sense gratification that the soul is experiencing through his material senses. And therefore, because everyone recognizes that the body itself is subjected to so many different problems, they surround the body with family, and family with society, etc. But no matter how much you expand the family or the conception of griha, it remains a limited conception. Therefore, Maharaj Shamdev said, actually Prahlad Maharaj also said, Patirna Krishna Parataksatova Griha Patirna Krishna Parataksatova Vitobi Padyeta Griha Vratanam. That everyone feels themselves in difficulty. Because if we accept this material body as reality, it has its beginning, it has an end. And all our endeavors to protect it, maintain it, wind up as a failure. So to work hard for one's entire life for something that's doomed to fail at the end is called crazy. Therefore, Maharaj Shabde said, Nunam pramatak kurute vikarma, et indriya pritya aprinoti. That indeed, nunam pramatak, everyone is crazy in this world. Not that the vast majority of people who are materialists or karmis, that they're crazy. Everyone is crazy, including ourselves. We're all crazy. Because pramata kurute vikarma. Because as soon as we forget Krishna, as soon as we forget that everything here belongs to Krishna, then we're engaged in vikarma. In activities which don't produce happiness, they produce anxiety and problems. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma did indriya pritya. This idea that if my senses are satisfied, then I'll be happy, produces vikarma, bound by material reactions. The desire to enjoy the senses means that we'll be awarded another body with another set of senses, so we're obliged to serve those senses. Not necessarily human senses, it could be any form of life. Irendriya pritya tatsaro manye. So Maharaj Shabde thinks that Sadhamanye, that Atmanoyam, Asana Piklesha da Ashadeha, that he thinks that this is crazy, that we're serving this temporary body, and it's full of misery, and we're hoping that somehow or another, by sincere service to this temporary miserable body, we'll get eternal happiness. It doesn't work anytime. It doesn't work in the future. It didn't work in the past. It doesn't work now. It won't work in the future. But we're so enthusiastic, so hopeful, so optimistic that we're willing to stay here forever, trying to do something which is impossible, both in the past, present, and the future. So that's complete, called madness, pramatak. So we're all crazy. So the first step in self-realization is to admit that we're crazy, to recognize that we're crazy. Then there's some hope. If we think we're very intelligent, we're very advanced, we're quite equipped to overcome our problems, then we're crazy. And if we don't understand that, then we're even more crazy than ordinary crazy people. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj said, also, Naishamatis Tavadarukramangreen, Prishadin Anaki. He said that, Naiva Dvide Paradratya Vaitaranyas, Bavirya Gaina Mahamrita Magnitita, Soche Vimukachetisa Indriyarta, Maya Sukhaya Bharam, Udva Tau Vimudan. He said, my dear Lord, you want to give me a benediction, but what kind of benediction do I want? Now, right now, whenever I chant your holy name, I remember not only your name, but your forms and your qualities and your pastimes, and I merge into an ocean of transcendental happiness. So what kind of benediction is better than that? But I'm lamenting to see these vimudhas. These mudha means ass. And vimudha is an emphasizer, so it means a super ass. These super asses, they're working hard for temporary material happiness, and all they're getting is problems and misery. But they take their temporary problems and misery as an opportunity to work harder to overcome the temporary problems and miseries that will be created by their endeavors to overcome temporary miseries. So, nunam pramata krute vikarma indriya pritya aprinoti tatsaramanye yat atmanoyam asannapi kleshada ashadeha. So this is a very embarrassing situation, but we're not embarrassed because we think we're making progress, that we're going to achieve something. Yeah, everyone achieves something in the material world by material activities. They achieve repeated birth and death and an opportunity to explore the 8,400,000 species of life, fly like a bird or swim like a fish, or eat all kinds of horrible things like a pig, and sometimes become a demigod and provide the air, the light, the sunlight for all the other crazy people in this world. I think that we're doing good. Therefore, it's said here, as Prabhupada mentions, Paravas tavad abodha jata, yavana jignasita atmatatvam, yavan kriyatavad idambano vai, karmatmagana yena sharira bandhaha. So, parava, defeat. This word comes from the Farsi alphabet, pa, pa, ba, pa, ma, ba, ba. That pa means working hard. Then pa, ba. Then there's foam at the mouth. Ba, ba, ba. Then there's exhaustion. And then there's ultimately ma, death. Everyone is hopeful, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to do so many different things, and I'm going to overcome old age, disease, and death. But we don't even, by all this hard work, we don't even make even a slightest advancement to overcoming death, although that's the whole aim. Parikshit Maharaj was going to die in 7 days, and he asked all the sages there on the bank of the Ganges, what should I do now that I'm about to die? And even they didn't know. They gave different answers. See a good Ayurvedic doctor, maybe has a good snake counter for snake venom, do a few yoga exercises, think positive. So many different answers. But Parikshit Maharaj was not satisfied until Shukadeva Goswami came. And when he heard the question, what is the duty of a person who's about to die? He said, that's a very good question. Varyan Esha Te Prashna, Pito Lokita Ripaha, Atmatam Samatam Pumsam, Shrotavyadishu Yakparaha. This is actually the most important question. Now, where in the internet, if you type in, what is the duty of a person who's about to die? Probably the police will come and arrest you as a possible terrorist. Who's asking the question? Is there a department at a university teaching people what their duty is now that they're about to die? As one devotee who was diagnosed with a terminal illness, the doctor said, I have bad news for you. You have a terminal illness. So the devotee told the doctor, I have bad news for you. You're going to die too. Or as Prabhupada, when he's in London, and the reporters asked him, I heard you're from India. Why so many people die in India? Prabhupada's reply was, yes, a lot of people die in India. But I've been in London here, and I've observed that people die here also. As a matter of fact, the death rate in India is 100%. And I've observed in London, it's also 100%. So whether you're in India or London, you have the same death rate. What is the advancement? So in London, they work more scientifically to avoid death, so-called scientific. But actually, they die sooner sometimes with all that scientific technology, so-called protecting us from what? By their technology, they've simply created complications. Instead of a bull and a cow, now they have a tractor. To have the tractor, you need a factory. To have a factory, you have to have the raw materials to build it. Therefore, you have to build transportation to get the raw materials, and the means to get the raw materials, and then you have to have a factory to build a factory, build the tractor, so you can plow the land to get food. But then you need energy, so you have to dig into the earth, or some other means of getting the energy, or build an army to get it from different countries. So then you have to build so many weapons. Then you have to train so many soldiers. So you can build the factory. So you can have a tractor, so you can plow the land. So they think they're making progress, just like the Brahmin who had only had a pair of kopins, but he was always chanting Hare Krishna very happily. No disturbance, nothing to worry about. But then one day a mouse came and stole his underwear. So he was naked and embarrassed. So he begged another piece of underwear. But he had heard that the only way to protect your underwear is you have to get a cat. So he begged a cat. But the cat wanted milk. He had to get a cow. But he didn't know how to milk a cow. So he got a wife. So the wife wanted children, so they had to get a house. But to pay for the house, he had to get a job. But to go to the job, he needed a car. So to pay for the car, he had to work at night. So now I had 2 jobs, 2 children, a house, a wife, cow, and a cat, all to protect his underwear. So he realized this is getting too complicated. I'm not going to be able to protect my underwear. So he took his underwear off and walked away. So we're thinking we're making progress. We're making progress to make things more complicated. Things that can be easily gotten, we've made it such a way that you have to work day and night to get it. Like the ass. The ass has grass underneath its feet, can easily bend down and eat it. But the washerman puts a heavy load on his back.
Wait.
Wait, Karan.
You can do it.
Put him on a stick.
7:55.
Day after the
7:55.
Okay.
load on his back. And at the end of the day, the washerman takes the apple away and lets the ass bend down and eat the grass at his feet. And he thinks, oh, the washerman is very kind to me. He's giving me so much food. So this is called an ass, mudha. So they made this complicated society, and they think they're making progress, so they can get a little bit of food. But in the meantime, they've contaminated the air, they contaminated the water, they contaminated the food, they contaminated the ether, and they think that's progress. Actually, they're mudhas. So Prahlad Maharaj wanted to give them a simpler lifestyle so one can chant Hare Krishna and merge into the ocean of bliss, of transcendental pleasure, rather than being paravastava bodha jata. Because the basic principle is that people don't know that they're eternal. Why work for eternality when you're eternal? Why work for some pieces of grass which are right at your feet? You just bend down and eat them, which is ultimately what you have to do anyhow. So if we're eternal, why should we work so hard for a temporary body? It doesn't help us become eternal. It doesn't reveal our eternality. So one should not, while one is maintaining the body, one should find out how to realize our eternality at the same time. Otherwise, we're being defeated by ignorance. Paravastavat abodha jata yavan jagnasita atma tattva. As long as we don't inquire while we're struggling for material existence, inquire about our real identity, which includes eternality, then we're being defeated by ignorance. Therefore, one should inquire about Atma Tattva, the science of the self. Yavan jignasita Atma Tattva. Yavan kriya tavad edammanovai. Otherwise, our work simply clouds our mind even more. If we're not inquiring about the absolute truth, working for sense gratification, then our mind is becoming more and more clouded. Rather than uncovering our identity, we're becoming covered more and more. Karmatmaka yena sharira bandha. And therefore, we're simply unnecessarily putting ourselves into difficulty when we could actually get out of difficulty with the same effort. Evamana karma pravan yukte avidyatman nupadiyamane. So it's this upadis, these designations that we're working so hard, but they don't help us at all, working for some material designation. That I'm from this country, I'm male, female, I'm this age, that. No, these are all upadis because we're not the body. And to work to maintain our upadis is actually against our own interests, our real interests. Evamana karma prasamyukte avidyatma upadiyamane. It's just we're being bewildered and deluded, not working for our real interests. Pritirna yavan mai vasideve. That our real interest is to revive our relation with Krishna. Our eternal, we realize we're eternal when we're in association with the other eternals, especially Krishna. Pritirna yavan mai vasideve namuchite yena deha yena yoga tadva. That as long as one is not pratirna yavan mai vasudeva, as long as one is not working to develop love for Vasudeva, then one will have to take one body after another. Prabhupada once said that the problem with his disciples is that they're not sufficiently afraid of Maya. How much we're absorbed in Maya is amazing. That we have the opportunity to become eternal, become eternally happy, and we're still not convinced. I think that maybe some scientist or some politician or some philosopher will save us. Therefore, we become distracted. Although we can see that they can't save themselves, so how are they going to save us? As Balavanta Prabhu was running for mayor of Atlanta many years ago, and there was a debate, and the contender for the mayor of Atlanta stood up, gave his speech, and afterwards, Balavanta Prabhu stood up and gave his talk and said we can see that this contestant for the mayor of Atlanta, he's smoking cigarettes. And everyone knows now that if you smoke cigarettes, it'll damage your health. So this man is claiming he's going to help the citizens of Atlanta if he becomes the mayor, but he can't even help himself. He's doing things that are against his own well-being. So how is he going to help anyone else? So all these people are in ignorance. They don't even know that they can't even recognize that their body's changing, but they're not changing. They can't even help themselves because they're andaya tandira upigayamanaste picha tantra urudami bara. They're blind. They have no vision. And if they're blind, they're crossing the street and they're saying, follow me. First, they'll get hit by a car, and all their followers will get hit by a car also because they're all blind. Therefore, one has to find someone. Naishamati stavadu rukramangrim, Visha inarta, Bhagavan inarta, Mayisam padarujay vishekam, niskinchananam nanavriti yadva. One should find someone who's not caught up in illusion and follow them. Then there's a possibility of getting out of illusion ourselves. Otherwise, one may take any path, a kama, sarva kama va, moksha kama, buddharadi. Actually, a kama, what is that verse? That whether one is full of desire, has no desire, desires liberation. No, that's actually the verse I just read. That the karmis are not happy, the gyanis are not happy, the yogis are not happy because of unsatisfied desires. Only the devotee is happy, nishkarma. Only when one is nishkarma, he has no material desires, only desire to serve Krishna, can actually one be happy. So what is desire? Desire means ultimately desire to serve ourselves through this material body. But it's a futile attempt to become happy that way, because it's like trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it. It'll never go out. It may temporarily smother the fire, but then it blazes up even greater. So this idea that if I become a karmi and I get money, I'll be happy. If I become a jnani, if I merge in Brahman, I'll be happy. If I become a yogi and have mystic powers, I'll be happy. Banasura had so many mystic powers. He was even able to capture Aniruddha, Krishna's grandson. But his arms were itching him all the time because he always wanted to fight. He always wanted to use his power, but he could find no one to bear a contest. He couldn't find no end of satisfaction anymore from being so powerful. So he's desiring that someone come and smash him. We can get rid of his false prestige, which was bothering him so much. He had so much mystic power, but he was completely in anxiety over it. He didn't know what to do with it. Anything constructive. So if we follow the karmis, the gyanis, the yogis, what do we expect to accomplish? They didn't accomplish anything. All these big horses are trying to cross the river. And there's one small, scrawny horse, very weak horse. And the big horses dive into the river, try to cross, we get swept away by the river, one after another. And finally, only the small, weak horse is left. And he said, I'll do it. The big, strong horses can't do it. And this weak, scrawny horse can't do anything. He's going to do it. He's a fool. Can't learn. Doesn't learn. Prabhupada said, an intelligent person learns by hearing. A less intelligent person learns by experience. And a fool, a rascal, he doesn't learn, no matter what. He hears what he experiences. He just doesn't learn. So, however foolish we may be, we have to try to hear from our acharyas and try to practice Krishna consciousness, and that way try to get some intelligence so we can actually learn and not get fooled by these misleaders. This wrong example. Yadyadacharya Shestas Tatat Eve Taro Janaha Yat Pramanam Kurute Lokastadam Nivartate. Whatever a great man does, common men follow in his footsteps. So we have to choose the right person or the right persons as leaders. Otherwise, we'll get in trouble. If we have some appreciation, the demons, just like Vishwarup, he had 3 heads. Indra and the demigods made him their priest, but sometimes he'd offer some oblation for the demigods, sometimes for the demons, because he was part of the family, the 2 sides of the family. So sometimes we're serving Krishna, and sometimes we're serving the demons, like Vishwarup. Indra eventually came and cut off his 3 heads, because you have to take sides, one side or the other, either the demon side or the divine side. At least we should try to make progress towards aligning ourselves more with the divine than with the demon. That depends on the modes of nature we're under. Karka apratishta shritiya vibhina nasavarishya yasyana binam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahadano yena kata sabhanta. According to the Mahabharata, Tarka apratishta. We can argue, and arguments are recommended in the Chaitanya Charitamrita if they come to actually a conclusion. Shrutaya vibhina. And there are so many scriptures. The scriptures for everyone, and whatever mode of nature you're in, will encourage you. And there's so many sages. They're all telling us what to do and how to do it. At least to come to their level. Gautama, Kanada, Jaimini, Vaishesika, so and also Vyasadeva. But the actual knowledge, the actual realization is hidden in the heart of a self-realized soul. Naishamatis Tavada Rukramang Dreams Srishat Yanarto Bhagavan Yanarto. Actually, that Tarka Apratishta Shutiya Vibhina Nasavari Shiryasyana Binam Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam. So the real religion is hidden in the heart of a self-realized soul. Mahajano Yena Kata Sabhanta. So one has to choose a Mahajan. Everyone has a Mahajan. For those in the mode of ignorance, Hiranyakashipu and Kamsa were Mahajans. When Nrsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu had thousands of followers ready to die after Hiranyakashipu because he was the leader of the demons. And for those who are in the mode of passion, then big, successful businessmen with a lot of wealth and influence, they're the Mahajans. Therefore, the schools are filled with people trying to do business, learning how to cheat others so they can become cheaters instead of the cheated. And for those mode of goodness, they want to be philanthropists, the conservationists. They want to protect everyone's sense gratification. But if one actually wants the real goal of life, one has to find out someone who knows what the goal of life is and follow them. And if we don't realize that we're eternal, that the body's temporary, that we're eternal, and work for the interests of ourselves rather than just only for the interests of the body, then we're just following the wrong people, that's all. Prabhupada, when he gave his instructions in his books, it's not only for the welfare of the soul, because some allowance has to be for the welfare of the body too. Otherwise, the soul will not have a body in order to perform devotional service. So it's balanced, not just only emphasis on the body and forgetting about the soul. or only emphasis on the soul and forgetting about the body. That's also not very healthy, especially if you don't know what the soul is supposed to be doing, namely utilizing the body in Krishna service. Therefore, one should try to find shelter at a person who's self-realized. And of course, here, Narada Muni, a self-realized soul, he instructed Priyavrata Maharaj, his self-realization, but also Brahma, he knew what he was doing. He's also one of the Mahajans. And also Indra came, Lord Shiva came, so many Mahajans came, and told him that you can stay in household life, at the same time you'll be perfectly protected in Krishna consciousness if you follow the orders of the Mahajans, of an actual acharya. If you're actually so elevated in self-realization that if you're on that platform, even in household life, there's no problem remaining Krishna conscious. So Priyavrata Maharaj, although he acted like an ordinary householder, and his wife acted as an ordinary householder, trying to enthuse him with her glances and nice dresses, but he accepted this as his service, because without being a householder, he couldn't rule the universe. Those who are actually ruling the universe properly, they're engaged in sacrifice to Vishnu. That requires their wife being present. So he accepted the service of his wife, and his wife was encouraging him in devotional service to remain fixed in Krishna consciousness in spite of being a householder. Although he acted perfectly as a householder, he encouraged his wife, accepted her service, but he was not attached to it. He always remained attached to Krishna because he did it for Krishna, and therefore he was unaffected by what he was doing externally. He always remained absorbed in the bliss of Krishna consciousness, because that's why he acted externally, to satisfy Krishna. So that was not so easy to imitate, but we should know that that's the goal. And while we're acting externally, we should realize that we're doing it for Krishna and his service, and therefore we'll be able to think of him internally at the same time. That will be our success in life. So I'll stop there. Think any question, comment? Yes. First become humble. Trinada peace and Ichena. Realize it's due to the fact that I'm my egoistic mentality that I have to achieve something in this world and become successful, make my mark in this world because of that egotistical idea that I somehow or another have to become the center of something in this world. Therefore, we're not humble because we don't put Krishna in the center. Because we don't put Krishna in the center, therefore we can't tolerate. What we can't tolerate, our plans for material success are not being met, so we become intolerant. I can't tolerate the fact that my success in life is not immediate, and I may have to leave my body sooner than the success will be there. So we're intolerant. Something's being delayed. But if we realize that we're not this body, if we accept that actually I'm in a very unfortunate situation, being bound by my crazy mind, trying to achieve success in the material world, which leads to intolerance, then we can take shelter of Krishna, and then we can become tolerant and patient. Leave it up to Krishna when we get success in that sphere. And then if we do that, then we'll be able to appreciate even the effort that everyone else is making, becoming Krishna conscious. We'll be able to appreciate others, what they're doing, rather than being antagonistic towards them or envious of it. Then we can chant Hare Krishna without all this anxiety, all this extra anxieties that we add onto ourselves, being envious of others, being intolerant, and trying to achieve something we can't do in this material world. Instead of putting Krishna in the center, we try to put our false ego in the center. Then actually progress was taking shelter of Krishna can be there. Then the real problems, the bigger problems of life can be faced without anxiety. Like this desire for wealth, for followers, for sense gratification, for liberation. Then gradually we can give these things up too. We can give up our ignorant conceptions. And we can also give up this desire for attaining things that are temporary. Anything else? Thank you very much. Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Pramanande. No. 8 o'clock.